The Daily Sprint starts right now. Welcome to the Daily Sprint, where each day is a great day to design. Today we're talking about leadership. Good, solid leadership is in short supply, but you don't have to be one of those leaders. I'll share 3 of my top 10 character traits of an effective design leader, and you can get all 10 with a free email course at the end of the episode. I'm Darrell Estabrook, 30 years into UX product design. Yes, we went crazy when Photoshop released the feature to re-edit your text, but now you can rotate 2D images in 3D. What will they think of next? Welcome! Hey, I'm glad you're here for episode 9. That's got to be one podcast in dog years. I don't know. Well, today we're talking about leadership. Have you ever wanted to be a leader? Or would you rather let someone else make all the decisions? I know I've never wanted to be a leader. It always seemed much easier just to let someone else do all that strategy and figuring out. But it doesn't have to scare you. It's actually something that is ingrained in all of us at some level. You're in leadership. You're definitely around leadership. Unless you're the CEO, and even then, you're reporting to someone, right? You are under some kind of leadership. You might be a leader of a team, might be part of the product team as an expert in design. You might be the only designer. But if you speak for your expertise to other people, you're a leader. You actually can lead wherever you are. So I saw this post on X by Cameron Mall, and he says, humility is so vastly underrated and underleveraged as a leadership super skill. Vastly. Very dramatic. But 2 things popped out to me when I read that. The word humility, and then this vastly underrated. So think about that. Humility. Do you know what humility is? It's kind of this, you might have a picture in your mind of someone maybe groveling. I don't know, like on their hands and knees. Humility. But really, when you look it up, the definition, you think about it this way, the quality of having a lowly view of one's importance. This is very reflective in one sense. But also it's relative to something of high importance. So think of this. Why would you ever view yourself lower than someone else? Especially if you're in charge, right? You have some authority. Why would you lower yourself? Well, it's just relative to something higher, right? If the CEO came into your office, how would you act in front of them? Probably very formal, very respectful. But then if you were to turn around and talk to people that you lead or other people that you work with, would you act the same way? And why? Why would there be a difference? Why should there? Is there a difference? In one sense, the humility in front of the CEO is exactly the sort of thing we're talking about when we turn around and there's people that you're leading or on a team that you're working with. And this vastly underrated, it's not the default behavior. It's something that we kind of expect of leaders, good leaders. You've seen good leadership. It's kind of a thing, but it's not the default. A lot of times it's my way or the highway, or even the more subtle version of that is, well, just being oblivious to those around you. You're just moving. I'm making decisions and just moving forward. But leading is not about having people do what you say. You think about that. This is not the military in one sense. There's a specific environment for that. But in business, we're not talking about that. Leading is showing people a vision and helping them get there. Right? And that includes listening to them. It's the ultimate in user experience design. We're always talking about listening to the users and before we make design decisions. So listen to your users, listen to the people around you. And in this case, there's one caveat, right? One warning kind of thing to pay attention to. You don't simply just do whatever everybody says. Right? In the similar way, just because every user talks about a certain feature, it doesn't mean you just implement that feature. When you're leading, it's really a balance of being totally grounded in the mission and then guiding each person's focus towards that mission. So you're kind of this gateway of sorts. It's not free range, but it's also not militaristic. So I've got 10 character traits of an effective design leader. There's 10 of them, but these are things that I've learned being on a team and leading a team. But we're just going to go over 3 of them. I just picked out 3 in this podcast. You can get all 10 of them. I put together this free 10-day email course. So you can sign up and you can get one of these a day. And it might seem like a lot, but each one of these is something that it doesn't happen overnight. It's something that you could really practice with and try out. So really think about it. It's almost like that day. We're really going to think about this one. So we'll talk about that at the end of the episode. But here are the 3 that I picked out. I picked out number 4, which is make requests clear. As a leader, it's incredibly important to be clear. And I've seen many cases where leaders are not clear. It's kind of inferenced. They want people to know what I'm thinking. But when it comes to requests, it can be very, very difficult to not impose. Some people get very cautious. They don't want to be overreaching. And then other people are just so direct. They're not really considering what else is going on. So I think when you're talking about a request, I'm thinking in terms of writing a message. Could be an email, could be instant message. But this could also be in spoken as well. And I think it's very important. There's this anatomy. So let's go through this real quick. There's obviously you're going to make an introduction of what you want. This is the context. If you're messaging this, it's going to be just 1 or 2 sentences, something very short. Hopefully, though, that people know what this is because you've probably talked about this before. But in a meeting, there's a ramp up so that people understand what this is. If it's a complicated topic or something like that, you pull up a conversation, talk to people. Talking is better than messaging. It might take a little effort, but it is far better. And then the request itself, there's 3 parts. So it start with the phrase, would you, ... right? Would you, I think this is totally different than using the word, could, right? Could you do this? Right? Could is about a possibility. It's almost theoretical. Could you, if in an ideal scenario, if would requests a certainty, right? So you're being assertive in a direct way, but it's decisive. And then be specific in your requests. So would you write an article on 10 character traits of an effective design leader? Hey, that's a good one. So it's very specific. Write an article and the topic of the article. And it should represent what you would like delivered. So it's an article, it could be a note, it could be, whatever it is, a design. Now you're talking about a presentation, the scope of it, but just whatever you would like done, how specific can you make it? And if there's more specifics, then again, you need to have a meeting. You need to talk through the details. The email, the message is not the place to get into it, but when you're done with those first parts, would you, then the specific request, then include a time frame. This is the thing that gets lost most often, would you write an article on 10 character traits of an effective design leader? Person says, sure, great. we've got it done. But like, when is it done? A week later, you're wondering why you haven't heard, you haven't received any message. You didn't ask for a time frame. Be specific. So, would you write an article on 10 character traits of an effective design leader by Wednesday at 5 o'clock? Or you could say by Friday, your end of the week, or even like by noon today. Like, it doesn't matter what the time frame is. It's probably going to be relevant to what you need, but it needs to be specific. And people have a hard time with this because they feel like they're imposing, but you're really not. You're being very clear. And if people can't meet that request, then they will offer a counter to it. Or if you want to give some wiggle room, you can include some options, by Thursday or Friday, something like that. But, you want these to be legitimate requests that are specific and not just keeping them open-ended. So people will respect a clear request. So another trait is number 6. Look at this. Number 6, grow good things, heal broken relationships. So this is a phrase that a friend told me. It was the title of a sermon he heard, actually. But that just summed it all up. Just that alone. Grow good things, heal broken relationships. There's really 2 parts to this. As a leader, you have visibility into multiple people. If you're on the team, right, you're seeing multiple people's lives, you're involved, and you have the opportunity to encourage, right? And both of these are kind of encouraging aspects. Growing good things is seeing people doing things that are good and saying, yeah, let's do more of that. Someone has a good idea and they send a note to someone else. Hey, that's great. That was good that you did that. You send a note yourself. Even encouraging the good things is a good thing. Doing a good thing, seeing a need, knowing that someone has, having a bad day or whatever, get them a cup of coffee. Do something that is a good thing. Like, there's no bad time to do a good thing. The converse is healing broken relationships. This is a hard one. Of course, there's volumes written on this and spoken about and worked on. But the sum of it is settle conflicts and seek forgiveness. Right? There are going to be conflicts. We see things differently. We're different people. We're all different. We have a perspective. But yet in this organization, on this team, we're going for a specific goal, a mission. We've got a common frame of reference in that aspect. And so these conflicts, we need to understand, you can be the mediator between these two issues. And if it's with yourself as the leader, then that's where, you need to seek forgiveness if it's something that you've, stepped on. But the point is to heal it, to bring it back to where then you can grow good things. You're not going to grow good things if there are broken relationships. So it's a really good thing. And as a leader, you have a lot of influence to do that. You have the latitude. And again, like I said, if you're on a product team, you also have the ability. You're not immune from this if you don't have a title. It's absolutely something that you can do. See, number 8 is the third one that I picked. Make comments with caution. So this is interesting. This is like the request one, but in a slightly different way. It comes with the territory. When you're a leader, you have an authority. You have a final say. Depending on how much authority you have, you could say like a vice president versus a team lead, then what you say, carries more weight, less weight. But if you are leading, it does carry weight. you are recognized in some form as the leader. And words matter. So use them wisely, right? It's in the meeting room, especially if it's a team meeting and people are giving comments about a design and you make a comment about the design, depending on when it is and what it is, it can be viewed as the final point. Like, this is the way we need to go. And you may not have meant it that way. You may have just been participating, and suddenly that's the thing. So a lot of times I like to take a step back and let everyone talk first and kind of hear the room, feel that out, and then make a comment. If there's something that has to be said, especially if it's a performance-related thing with a person in the room, that's better taken offline, like not in the meeting, and just talk privately. Because that is important, because words do matter, and you are the leader. And especially if you're trying to bring people along and grow good things, then to do that in a way that's respectful of kind of where they are, vulnerability, it's always good. Respectfulness is always going to go far. So your comments go a long way. So there are 7 others that are good character traits of an effective leader. Now, we talked about humility kind of as that umbrella. There's no specific humility behavior. We said before, like, there's a person on their hands and knees walking around. You're not going to walk around on your hands and knees and people say, wow, what a humble leader. But you can take this as an internal attitude. Yeah, it's something that has to be real. It can't be falsified, especially with the other traits and as you're dealing and working with people. But you can start here. You can start with some of these. Some of these are pretty rote. They might be habitual. They have good results. But the ultimate humility comes from knowing Jesus. It's a big part of my life, how I've submitted to Him. And He paid the ultimate sacrifice for our sins. And that's a thing that there's no amount of work that you could do to get that removed. And that's the ultimate authority, being God, having the ultimate humility, which is dying. And He rose again, and He lives. And He wants you to know Him too. So that level of humility changes everything. So we can go day by day working on how we talk to people, how we work with people, even developing these traits. They're really good things that we can do, and we can grow those and grow good things and develop our leadership ability. So if you'd like to know more about any of this, you can always go to designy.com/ask and ask me a question. I'd be more than happy to hear it. In fact, I've added a new way on the website that you could just press the conversation button there on any page of the website, and you can send a question in. And we've talked through 3 of these 10 traits. But like I said, there's an email course I put together so that you can get each one of these day by day and really think about them. It's something that you may be able to do in a day. That'd be great. But a lot of this stuff is developed over time. And it's just really good to focus on one thing at a time. So go to designy.com and look for the article. This is no surprise. 10 character traits of an effective design leader. And you click on that and you'll see the form and you can sign up and you'll start receiving these emails. So it's design, and then there's a y.com, designy.com, and see how many traits you can develop. Let me know. I'd love to hear about it. Love to hear about your progress. So other ways you can get involved, you can subscribe to the Daily Sprint on the podcast platform you're listening to right now. Stay tuned. I've got a newsletter you can stay up to date with. And don't forget to check out Designy Academy. There's some new courses up there, all sorts of resources, putting some new ones out all the time. Thanks for listening to the Daily Sprint. And just remember, today is a great day to design with a Y. See you next time.